Welcome to Peculiar Stories, where we explore the fascinating world of near-death experiences and offer new perspectives on the meaning of life and death. Our goal is to shed light on these profound stories, deepen your understanding of life, and provide valuable insights to our audience. Whether you're new here or simply joining us again, we're thrilled to have you on this journey. If you enjoy what we do, consider subscribing to our channel to stay updated on our latest content. And don't forget to hit the like button to help our content reach a wider audience. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be transported to the edge of life and beyond. Without further ado, let's get to the story. Hey there guys, my name is Angela, and this is my story. I couldn't breathe when I first woke up in the morning unless I was sitting up. My husband made a quick trip to our family doctor and then drove me to the hospital. I underwent a series of tests, including x-rays and blood tests. I was then wheeled into a room, given an oxygen mask to wear, and told to wait there until the results of all the tests were in. My husband was seated at the foot of my bed as I was there. It was harder for me to breathe every time I lay down, but because I was so weak, all I could do was silently hope they would figure out what was wrong with me. I was afraid of what would happen to me on the inside. At the time this happened, I had only received oxygen. I had received no medication at all. I can still feel a weight on my chest as I struggle to breathe. It feels like the hardest thing to do. After closing my eyes, I suddenly felt free. Not only free, but also assured and weightless. I had lost all fear. I had no care in the world. I felt like a kid again and was astounded by how light the load was. Then I felt two hands touch me, one on each shoulder. I didn't look behind me, but I had the impression that I knew these two people were my friends. I didn't need to search. It seemed as though I was forbidden from looking, but it didn't matter because I sensed they were okay and secure. It was time to leave, so I asked them if I was dead. They rejected it. I was instructed by them to accompany them. They wished to present something to me. They did not elicit my response, which would have been yes if they had asked. Then, they took me by the shoulders and pulled me out of my body before dragging me through the floors, out of the building, and into the sky. I felt like I was flying, which was thrilling. But once we reached a certain altitude, everything turned black, and there was nothing there. There was nothing but deep nothing, and silence, and there was no temperature sensation. They told me where I was by touching me with their hands when I asked them to. It's difficult to explain again because there was nothing specific to position me, but I knew they were facing me because of their touch. They advised me to observe, so I did. I noticed something starting to grow off in the distance. I'm not sure if it grew larger or I just got closer. Nothing else nearby allowed for a comparison. When it was close enough, I could begin to see these tiny beings, encircling the main being with light ribbons. I could see a variety of things that are a part of creation as the object drew nearer. I noticed cats, hills, trees, rivers, people, stars, and a lot of other things that were all bubbling together. It's like a soup of everything, but everything was thought out clearly in bubbles before they all popped together. I can't even begin to express how happy and jubilant I felt as I watched this take place. I had never felt happier in my life than I did at that moment. "What do you see?" they inquired. "Creation," I uttered, as if I had no doubt whatsoever. "What have you learned?" they then questioned me. Even though I had never given this philosophy much thought, I proclaimed, "Everything is everything else," as if I had known it all along. They then repeated their question with the word, "and?" I was bursting with information I had never known. "What anyone does matters to everything," I responded. It was intriguing to hear responses leave my mouth that I wasn't even aware I knew. They remarked, "Good. The next thing I know, they are removing me from the joy and transporting me to another location." We suddenly found ourselves in an area that was entirely white. I knew they were still behind me, but once more, I didn't feel the need or desire to turn to face them. Everything in this room was white, including the floor, ceiling, and walls. A door was the only thing that stood out. It was a simple red door that looked like a stage door, but nothing supported it. It merely stood there, the only source of color there. I asked them again if I was going to pass away because I assumed it was my time to die. I asked out of innocent curiosity rather than out of fear. They rejected me. Before I came back, I was supposed to learn one more thing. They said, "Enter through the door," they instructed. Knowing that death was at the door, I politely countered by saying that they had just said that I wouldn't pass away right away. I gave them a gentle push and walked to the door, completely relying on them, only slightly perplexed but happy. I passed through it and experienced nothing different at all. I assured them that nothing occurred. "Do it once more, but use shoes this time," they commanded. For the first time, I noticed that I had legs and feet and that I was wearing a pair of vibrant red sneakers. Strangely, up until that point, I had never thought about my body outside of the context of what I was seeing outside of it. I told them I felt nothing the second time I went through the door. They instructed me to examine my feet, so I did. On the other side of the threshold, the shoes were still there. Never had they come in with me. They then inquired about my knowledge once more. I quickly responded that when we die, we cannot take material possessions with us. Though I felt there was more to say because what I said seemed so obvious, I was happy with my response. They kept asking the same follow-up question, and over and over. Then, as soon as I knew and remembered, the words came to me as though they had always been there. I didn't change, so I didn't feel any different when I walked through the door. It was my location. I've never been a part of my sneakers. "We don't change when we pass away," I declared. "We are butterflies all the time." We simply changed to another sky. Even though I was unable to feel my tears, what I had just said resonated deeply within my heart, soul, and very being. I was aware of my learning. They advised that it was time to return. I acquiesced to their direction through and out of the wherever place we were involuntarily. We dropped through the floor, ceilings, and roof once more before landing back in my room. I lowered myself horizontally as if to descend into my body, but instead I remained a few feet above it. I resisted their departure as soon as I felt their hands leave my shoulders. I explained that I had not yet entered my body. They claimed I could accomplish that on my own and didn't require them. They did not wave off. They just went away. My husband was still there, sitting at the foot of my bed. He had dozed off while seated in the chair. I tried to relax my way down, and it seemed to work. I was just a few inches away from being completely inside when I went up again to test my ability. I succeeded. I was about to try again when I noticed him stirring, which made my heart flutter with fear that he might be scared. I descended all the way because I didn't want to frighten him. The heaviness, the chest pain, and the difficulty breathing all returned when I returned to my body. My attitude was the only thing that was different. I was so assured and so unafraid. For the first time in my life, I had no reason to ever again be afraid of dying. I had fresh insights, a new perspective, and a new philosophy. Both where I was going and what I did here were important. My husband extended his hand to shake mine. His worried expression was obvious. I assured him that I was still alive and not yet going to pass away. Certainly not from this. Since then, I have only told a select group of people. I make an effort not to share information with anyone unless I feel they should and won't assume I'm making it up. My daughter showed me all these people sharing their experience, and I was moved to share it with others who are looking for assurance of life after death. That is the only reason I'm telling you this. Watch this video next, because it's fascinating near-death experience about a man who went to heaven and given a mission that cost him an arm and leg. And also he met his great-uncle there.